Dividing polynomials by a monomial. So, in this lesson, you're going to learn how to divide polynomials. You learned how to multiply them. Remember, you used the FOIL method, you used the box method, you used the distributive method. Well, now we're going to do the inverse of multiplying, which is dividing. I'm going to show you how to do it in two different methods, but before we start, I need to see if you remember how to divide the long way. Okay, so divide the two numbers, keep your remainder in fraction form. Right now you'll see what I mean by fraction form. Now when they taught you how to divide, you had to look at each digit individually and see how many times can this outside number go into that inside number. Okay, so we're going to start with the first digit, which is 1. 2 times what can give us 1? Well, 2 is too big of a number to go into 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a 0 here, 2 times, so then here you're multiplying. To continue this process, we multiply this number times that, so 0 times 2, which give us a 0, and then we subtract the two numbers. 1 minus 0, well, it's 1, and bring down the next digit, 19. So we just saw that 2 cannot go into 1. It's too small of a number. So we're going to use the two digits next. 2 times what could give us something close to a 19? Okay, well, 9 would be it. So then we do 9 times 2, 9 times 2 is 18. So we put the 18 here, and we're going to subtract the two digits. That gives us a 1. 19 minus 18 is 1, and you bring down the next digit, 8. And we do the same process. 2 times what can give us an 8, and the answer is, an 18, and the answer is 9. Again, 2 times 9 is 18, so an 18 goes here, and again you subtract the two numbers. 18 minus 18 is 0. Bring down the next digit, 6. Okay, so 2 times what will give us 6? 3. 3 times 2 is 6, so we're going to put a 6, and that gives us a 0, and we bring down the last digit, 7. 2 times what can give us a number close to 7? Well, the answer is 3. 3 times 2 is 6, so we're going to put a 6 here, subtract the 2, and we get a 1. Now we don't have any more numbers to drag down, so this is our remainder. When they first taught you how to divide, they told you, okay, the answer to this quotient, to this dividing problem, is 9,933 with a remainder of 1. So they told you how to do that. But then they told you, okay, we're in a different grade level, time to bump it up a step. Our answer is 9,933. We had a remainder, and it was being divided by 2. So we had to write it in fraction form. This is what it means to keep your remainder in fraction form. If you have a remainder, it ends up in a fraction. How do you set up the fraction? Well, your remainder goes on top, so I'll write that down. Remainder, and your divisor goes in the bottom, what you're dividing by. Okay, so I'm not going to do this example. I'm pretty sure now you got the idea. If you want to try it on the paper, of course, go ahead and try it. So how are we going to use that process or that method to dividing a polynomial by a monomial? Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to show you two ways. There's several ways of doing so. I'm showing you a short way and a long way. So let's get started. Of course, I'm going to start with the long way first. It says find the quotient, so divide, to the polynomials. Keep your remainder in fraction form. That is very important. So, the first thing I'm going to do, the long way, means I'm going to need to use this. So, how do you set this up? I do. I stands for inside, so all of that goes inside. D stands for divide, the division symbol. O stands for outside, the number that goes outside. So I do. Alright, we're going to start off with the first term, which is 16x. And you got to think, okay, 4 times what will give us a 16x? Okay, so 4 times what could give you a 16? First of all, 4 times 4. Now remember, like I said, there's a multiplication here. And we multiply 4 times 4, 16. So I'm going to put the 16 right here. Now my goal is to get a 0 out of these two. 16 minus 16, because remember, we are subtracting, will give you the 0. But we have an x. So 4 times what will give us an x? Well, 4 times x. So then right here we would need an x. X times 4, or yeah, 4x times 4 I should say, is 16x. So now that 16 has an x. We subtract, and of course you end up with a 0. So from these two, that's just 0. Bring down the next digit, or the next term, 28. So I don't need the 0 in front of it, and I don't need the plus, because it's a positive 28. Next question. 4 times what is going to give us a 28? So this is where you got to start remembering your multiplication table. In this case, 4 times 7. Now since this is a positive number, I need a positive 7. So I'm going to put a plus 7. 7 times 4 is 28. So I'm going to write down a 28 right here. Your next step, subtract them. 28 minus 28 is 0. So I have a remainder of 0. Perfect. Therefore, my answer is 4x plus 7. Now, how can you check if you did this correct? Well, if this is the answer to the dividend here, what if we multiply the answer that we got by 4, and we should end up with this here. So if we distribute, 4 times 4x is 16x, 4 times 7, that's 28. Does this answer match that one? Yes, it does. And that's how you check your work. Okay. Alright, let's try another one. In this one, I'm going to show you how to find the quotient using the short method, the short way. So, in the short way, you need to understand that all of this inside the parentheses is getting divided by 2. So, I'm going to rewrite everything that is inside of the parentheses without the parentheses. All of this is getting divided by 2. So, each one individually is getting divided by 2. And simplify each ratio. So in this first ratio, 10 divided by 2, that's 5. Bring down the c squared. It did not change. 12 divided by 2 is a positive 6. So positive 6, bring down the c. That did not change. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 7. So negative 7. And that's it. That's the short way. That's our quotient. Let's try another short method. You're probably wondering, why can't we just use the short method all the time? Well, because tomorrow you're going to learn how to divide a different type of a polynomial, and we need to practice with the long method because that is the only way to divide. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite what's inside, where I rewrote what's inside, and each term is getting divided by 4x. So I'm going to divide each one individually by 4x. Okay, so here's where you got to remember your properties of exponents. Okay, I'm going to keep this here because we're going to come back to it. 16 divided by 4, that gives us a 4. X divided by x. Remember here, when the bases are the same and it's division that we have, you subtract the powers. So if this x has a power of 1, this x has a power of 1, 1 minus 1 is 0. So then we have x to the power of 0. But remember, anything to the power of 0 is just 1. So that's just 1. Okay. 4 times 1 is 4. So in reality, this mess is just 4. No more x's. 28 divided by 4 gives us a 7. But if you notice, there's an x in the denominator at the bottom. There's no x at the top in your numerator. So your final answer is going to look weird. The x stays at the bottom. It stays in your denominator. The 7, though, will go at the top. This is a remainder. We got to keep it in fraction form. Therefore, this is our final answer. Okay. Let's try another one, long way. 6c squared plus 18c minus 30 divided by 2c. Okay, so I'm going to do this. And it'll help me understand what goes inside, what goes outside. So the O part, remember, goes outside, then it's the division sign, and then it's the inside part. Okay, and then we start. The question is, 2c times what will give you a result of a 6c squared? So let's look at the 2 and the 6. 2 times what will give you a 6? A 3. Now remember, there's a times here. 3 times 2 is 6. So that's how we get a 6. Okay, but how do we get a c squared? 3 times 2c gives us a 6c, but we need this c to be squared. So what we do is, not only do we multiply 2c by 3, we need to multiply it by a 3c. c times c will give us the c squared that we need. Okay, so there you go. Next step, subtract them. 6c squared minus 6c squared, gone. They cancel because that's just 0. Okay. Next, I'm going to bring down the next term, the 18c. Okay, so 2 times what can give us 18? A 9. Now remember, this is a positive 18, so we need a positive 9. 9 times 2c will give us an 18c. Now, does the 9 need a c? No, it doesn't, because then we would end up with a c squared, and that's not what we want. We just want the 9. Okay. Next, we subtract these two. 18c minus 18z, 0. Nice. So we bring down the last term, the negative 30. So 2 times what will give us a negative 30? Well, first of all, we need a negative number, so I'm going to put a negative symbol. 2, what can give us 30? The answer is 15. 15 times 2 gives us 30. So negative 15 times 2c would give us a negative 15 negative 30c. Okay. So then we subtract these two. Negative 30 minus negative 30. Well, this negative with this negative makes this a positive. Negative 30 plus 30c, that gives us a 0 with a c. So we do end up with the remainder. Our answer here is going to be 3c plus 9 minus 15 with over 2c. Because we had a remainder here, that means that the 15 is the remainder. Okay. Okay, next problem. We have this here, and we need to divide it using the short method and the long method. Now the short way is a little easier because every single term that is inside the parentheses will be divided by the 4r. So I'm going to rewrite what is inside of the parentheses, and of course we don't need the parentheses anymore. Every single thing is getting divided by 4r, so divide this by 4r, divide this by 4r, and divide this by 4r. Okay, so 4 divided by 4 is 1. Here we need to apply the properties of exponents. We have r to the power of 6 divided by r to the power of 1, subtract the powers, and that's r to the power of 5. Next one, 32 divided by 4 is 8. Again, properties of exponents, r to the power of 4 divided by r to the power of 1, subtract the powers, 4 minus 1, and that gives us r to the power of 3. The last one, 2 divided by 4, negative 2 divided by 4, that is a negative 1/2. Properties of exponents, r to the power of 2 divided by r to the power of 1, subtract the powers, and that gives us r to the power of 1. Now I'm going to rewrite this, and we have, I don't need the 1 in front, so r to the power of 5 plus 8r to the power of 3 minus this r to the power of 1. I'm going to write it on top as my numerator. The 2 goes at the bottom, and the r to the power of 1, which really you don't need the power of 1. And this is how our answer will look like. Now the long way. Here is my IDO. So my 4r is going to go outside of the division symbol. Inside we have this. Okay, so we're trying to figure out 4r times something is going to give us 4r to the power of 6. Remember, there is a times here. So we're going to start with the coefficients first. 4. 4 times what can give us a 4? A 1. Okay. Then we need r to the power of 6. We already have r to the power of 1. How many more r's do we need to make 6 out of them? Well, we need 5 more. So now we're going to multiply. 1r to the power of 5 times 4r to the power of 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. r to the power of 5 times r to the power of 1, properties of exponents. You add the powers, and that gives us r to the power of 6. So, r to the power of 6. Next, we subtract the two terms. Okay. So here we get 0, and we break down the next term. 32, r to the power of 4, and that is a positive 32. So now we got to think, okay, 4 times what will give us a 32? A positive 32. So we need a positive 8. R to the power of 1 times something will give us r to the power of 4. So we need 3 more r's. We need r to the power of 3. Okay. So 8 to the power 8r to the power of 3 times 4r. 8 times 4 is 32. R to the power of 3 times r to the power of 1, r to the power of 4. Next step, subtract them. That gives us 0, and we bring down the last term. Negative 2r to the power of 2. Okay, so how many times can 4 go into 2? The answer is none. So at this point we stop. This becomes our remainder. So the final answer will look like this. 1 r to the power of 5 plus 8 r to the power of 3 minus, because this was a negative number, remember what we were dividing by goes at the bottom. Our remainder goes at the top. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, how come this answer doesn't look like that one? Well, it does. We just gotta reduce this last part. How we reduce? Well, 2 divided by 4 gives us 1/2. So let me rewrite the answer over here. R to the power of 5 plus 8r to the power of 3 minus 2 divided by 4 is 1/2. R to the power of 2 divided by r to the power of 1 gives us r to the power of 1, and that is in our numerator. So really, this fraction will look like this. And this does look like that answer. Okay, I hope this helps.